disorder.
Am I adulting?
I'm so anxious.
This is what it's all
I don't know what I'm doing.
I can't.
Life's all about. I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't understand.
Adulting Good podcast will help and the reality behind ability in this world.
And I'm Caroline Savrant.
Community mental health, so with things.
Betterment is daunting, our stakes together and share work. Because hey, right? And if we are,
We will cover a variety of sabotage, toxic relationship after a breakup, or special most episodes to share their experience.
this podcast is everyone who needs a little bit of help and wants some company in doing it for the laughs, but if we can look good too.
Am I adult?
Well, Am I Adulting Good? About intuitive eating, and we have joining us who is founder. So hi.
Oh, my absolute, yeah.
We by asking our guests, what does adulting mean to you?
Okay, so some thoughts, because you did pretty well. And there's often sort of lots of different things back to one word, possible, about what what that means, and a different way, sort of, whether it's for kids and my kids, as I like to call them, in children, and everything, like being your own life. So being able to make, I think a level of reliable. That's one of my, to be a reliable, linked in with.
Yeah, I guess the creativity that can come with that is, paving your own path to be, you can kind of have fun along the way. Hold yourself to things that are actually, Well, our topic about dieting, and you yourself, can you just tell us a bit about how you founded Love What You?
Sure. Okay. So 10 years ago, it started, I was practicing in terms of my decision school. It was a long, there's quite a, you want me to go into that or go into it? Like a lot of professions in terms of something in their life, a lot of dietitians, whether it's an eating disorder. So I had a bit of a struggle with, I think it started in year 9. The short version or the long version. I feel like
the long version is nice. This is it. So yeah, okay. It's wonderful.
I was I was 4 and 16 and left ballet to start. Is very acne of genetically. Now, year 9, I think it was. So I had like lots of teenagers do. My mum had got chatting to some particular diet that could be good for skin. So I just kind of shaped my head in one really sensible, pragmatic. She took her 15, she was actually a beautician, Candida diet recipe for an eating disorder in a person. But that's the I don't even know if it's still called that today. I don't know wheat, no dairy. Doing that, it didn't really have any effect on my body. Oh, I missed out. We went away on a term or a year, whatever it is. I ate probably more than reputation for eating a lot. Impress your peers. So I started gaining some weight. When I saw my dad, he actually made it, which is quite interesting because adult women I see, or even the majority that I see, they started anywhere to 12 seems to be the most common meaning person. Often a gym coach or basically someone that makes a comment about really it might be too much. I just came back home. It just might have said something as well. Died at that stage. I just went back to my normal. But then shortly after, I got put on this anti-candida diet, and all of a sudden wanted to talk to me. And because I was competing, I was in my PE uniform, and I guess started getting questions. Apparently, what I was doing must be. I looked the part. And so I took it to the next level, kept restricting, and then I had a teacher pull me aside, PE teachers at school, who I really respected. School crush, talk about, crush. So she pulled me aside on bones, and actually at the gym where I was doing aerobics. Now, this whole time, I've spoken with my mum about this at length, I was very aware of it and keeping an eye on it. She must have realised that I'd been using any, for several months me aside and said she got rid of the scales, weighing myself obsessively as well, start eating normally. Membership, which was like year 11 by this stage, the end of year 9 and most of year 10. And I was fortunate, actually wasn't an eating disorder, also at home, but I was able to gain the weight, start menstruating and get essentially fine. Not that straightforward for a lot of people, and is typical many high school girls into eating disorders in the sense that, so we're talking the 90s, it's probably even worse. Experiences when I was losing weight, loving myself, and was validation. People were interested in me, and it was almost like everything in our words picture validates eating disorder behaviour. Eating GPs often without knowing it. There's a lot of eating disorders that, going back to the comment on GPs, that they had an underweight, they wouldn't be validated, or that any extra weight had and you must essentially to lose weight.
And Candida diet being free, dairy free, days time as taking really good. So, speaking disorders,
Yes.
you can explain a little obsessively healthy. So when you're just eating as healthy as quite taking on where people are really, can you tell us a little bit?
Yeah, so the unhealthy and that can definitely, as we've been saying, or quitting, if you're eating sugar-free, it's somehow seen as a good thing. Just disappeared. I think you just put a name to, or I always say eating syndrome. So I had some description for a period there. That term didn't exist back times without, I don't even know if I knew it at the time, other than the fact that seemed to be a good thing.
Those things people start to about, almost limit of their life that's making them feel station. That story. I mean, because it's society to be obsessed with what you eat, and one page in some magazines you are, and the next page is 5 days, and I eat a diet myself as well, and it's not healthy.
When I often do air quotes, it's like how does it work?
Yeah.
You think of my skin and it didn't do anything. But for weight loss, potentially that sort of starvation loss. But yeah, back in terms of Caroline was asking, one thing I obsessed with to the detriment of nutrition. This is that's where they're so focused. Food can either heal you and teach in school now about nutrition shouldn't be doing. I don't think we in some cooking classes, but they're actually teaching nutrition as primary schools. Kids' brains, this is from some work, and Ellyn is the L-Y-N. So she's an American dietitian, but tremendous. And she talks about the age of 12 that kids' brains are between. So we talk about, and this is what kids are learning, and this can happen with teenage bad. It's bad between. You eat sugar, you're about your guilt or shame. It's somehow brains haven't developed enough to know if you some jam on the toast is not a problem, or that I guess the amount's the detriment of other things. Become so focused on nutrition, like with food. There's pleasure from food, enjoyment, connecting with food, cooking with food. Very much what happens, I think, is the focus, the nutrient. So, looks, I always do the little air perfect. The person with orthorexia diet and think, oh my God, you're so anxious around food, the quote unquote wrong thing. They get to the point that perhaps they have temptations to eat out or to go to foods because they can't control their food from improving their health, doing almost the opposite.
To a point as a society in physical health. So if you're orthorexia and obsessed with you be healthy, but psychologically would be in distress and a very fulfilling life. About the non-diet approach, can you tell us a bit about that?
I was thinking about saying, not babbling on forever, but now this is important. I offer a mix of health. So physical health, like you just mentioned, spiritual health. So defined areas of health sort of are the most relevant to them. And we are a culture focused on the physical health of all those other three aspects. So yes, it messes up people's work we do with intuitive eating. It damages people's social health. Food is so connect socially with. You are around food or restrictive you are with those relationships. Intuitive eating, I always like to say, is magical, that the two are the authors of the official intuitive eating. So you've got show notes. But the called Intuitive Eating by Ellyn. So back in, I think, the 90s for a while, but it's been evolving, learning what it all means. The one I would definitely been some, I guess, we all make when we start doing. Intuitive eating is not something we're born eating, normal eating. It's just that few people eat normally. It's like we have to give it this, the intuitive eating that's given. Another good name would be, so really, in a sense, it's less about, it's much more about your eating. So it's the ability you're hungry and when you're full. So we need to know how much food to give a baby.
And think about the amount of time remember that experience. You're so engaged in other things, and you don't the fact that you've eaten, so you also do
exactly
as well
in terms of the tasting aspect. But yeah, babies, toddlers, we just did, obviously the adults in our world, just without even language for actually following our hunger and fullness. So the idea of you have lost that connection to your have, even people dieting is one of the next people from really recognizing when just living in a world where we've got lots of meal time because other people are eating. We're not really encouraged to think about food in terms of appetite, food in terms of calories, all that kind of thing. Intuitive eating is learning how to with those signals that let it have eaten enough, and that for the most part, eating food and then for the most part, you've eaten enough. I say for the most part, we eat just for the taste of food. But sometimes we might need to plan eating and it's over lunchtime, so we might we need, like, if it's a special kind of thing, and none of that's wrong. Elements of appetite, various signals of hunger, of fullness. which is often not something that people think about. So with my clients, I ask them, what was satisfied after you? In fact, I'll ask you to feel satisfied after you've eaten.
I need to have eaten, because I eat everything on my plate. If I have the meal left, I think that in the fridge and then reheat taste is good. I should probably just. So there's like this between like how much I feel satisfied and then I don't want to waste food in the background. If I could change one eating how much I need to for that.
Yeah, for the element. And I put it in the word enough. So there may be a level you've eaten a meal and you're satiated. And certainly if you eat past, people will recognize that takes away. It also, so you're a bit peckish, you have a meal full after that. But so that's one key element.
Quite skewed through a big course of therapy and behavioural therapy around that. My own satisfaction very much, not always. I also don't want into how am I feeling, and what it is, like not to beat yourself up like that, but eating because I'm hungry and attentive to and making it and being present with nourishing myself could also mean, I feel like a bit of ice cream, sure, go. And that was enough. And having an element, like even just being present, going into this desired, when to be like, and now for something new.
Sort of, is the experience, so you felt like eating something and to do that and it a pleasant experience. I asked that question, I'd never actually thought about that.
Brianne a lot about
all the time.
Food, I think,
but so have all my clients.
I've had issues binge eating with, or at least so an idea that we've thought about definitely. Healthy and happy and eat. Yeah.
There's still one key word I'm missing, which neither of you.
Taste.
Yes.
Big one for me.
Like, wow. So I can remember certain in the 90s, probably these days good, it must be bad for you. I used to say that a lot, and not necessarily hear little non-diet bubble these days, doing what I'm doing, engaging from all the diet world. But yeah, this is bad for you. Food didn't taste good for our behaviors. We probably wouldn't have done. So our bed for us to eat. And part of food, this is why actually connecting with the food when it's in your mouth. I think experience, you might be working, you've got to go back to get the other half of your side. And you're like, oh my God, you didn't register, still feel hungry, even though you've eaten them normally, you've eaten enough for something else. So yeah, if you don't, that brain doesn't register, actually a really important part of satisfaction. So that brain to recognize you've had enough.
That I don't have to with some lemon juice, some olive oil, and
absolutely.
I can.
Yes. So this is 10 years of my career. I was giving you that story about what happened to dietetics, thinking I was eating what I thought was and able to be, within my year-old naivety, to restrict. They don't have to diet. They, eating fairly freely. But that wasn't the case. That not meant to be in a smaller body. So,
Two hands up to that.
Early on, because I realised how damned it tried to very early on. It still took me a good 10 years to move into this area. So really up until I look back now and I'd say I was enough. So I thought I ate for 20, good during the week. Yeah. I would not use I don't know when spray olive oil came out, calories, and I was aware of how many calories. There's a good point with the olive oil. So I would scrimp on things and, oh my God, facepalm.
Avocado is God's butter. Skimp on that.
People look, avocado, yes, it's really neutral. Avocado is like eating. So obviously what I've learned and what we've learned is not all calories are created. And monounsaturated fat oil is very high in the avocado. And so we've actually done the research, the olive oil and the avocado, and said, you're probably the food energy, the fat. So if you look at calories, it doesn't actually in terms of energy in your body. I have learned through diet is looking at some of the studies, 50 mils of olive oil, top of their normal diet. Going, oh my God, that's an extra meal's worth of food. I sort of went to this Mediterranean, but at the same time I was reading and learning that we didn't. And people on this study, they checked people's, the reason for the study they were looking at. But I'm missing and then going, I'm going to start about it. And got rid of all my spray oil, olive oil on everything and using nuts and all that kind of thing. So how many years later it is now? Even though on paper, like if I were years ago, I would have thought, but better than that, I think that, destroy taking out some of the fats and putting more vegetables in. Much better cook now.
How do you feel about butter?
Love it.
No,
love
it's so good.
I just want to make one more comment on the olive oil is it's more satiating. So the more fat you have in a meal, the more nutrients as well. There are fat that absorb more of this, what are called fat that you absorb more of or has fat with it. In particular, and I think, and I don't have shares with it. Monounsaturated fat, monounsaturated effect on our sleeps is fuller for longer. It explains the chicken effect. Some people find it's particularly high in monounsaturated
Chicken. Yeah, delicious.
So I think a bit of variety. Like sometimes I feel like, lashing.
Yeah. Then with intuitive, because I mean, with a person, if they're like, oh, like fast food and calories that aren't kind of high in vitamins and all the rest, being more in touch with needs, will your body need vegetables and crave proteins or the carbs that point in time?
Yes, if you are enough of something, then, but even if you've started exploring use, because I feel like experience, you go away on holiday a lot and it's maybe restaurant food, drinking a bit more than usual. Oh my God, I just want a salad.
Yeah.
So that's your body. So if you're eating out lots, and you'll
I crave veggies.
And the fast, one of the understandings with intuitive eating, do you give permission to eat whatever you feel? Now, I know I need to be careful how I say this. I can't say too early on because it's going to interpret it in a certain way I want people to do. So if I share the experience of who would eat fast food maybe 2 or 3 times a week and sort of discover now that they doesn't feel good, just doesn't sort of after eating it. More often than not, she's like, actually, no, I don't feel good. And then other people might discover that, particularly when we get eating, that it's okay, but meal and eat it, really enjoy the food, but it's a bit dirty.
Oh,
or the burger's a bit
try
nasty.
that.
So I'm always careful. I'm not like, fast food is a bad food, nutrition and everything. It's part of your body and it's right for you. So fast food once a week, nutrition you need, and in any way, shape or form.
With conscious eating, ideal circumstances with your food, savoring, consciously thinking about what you're eating, that if you switch everything into the food, it's going to feel differently.
So when I do the mindful eating, if you to have a TV or anything like that, and it's about really connecting with how the tastes and how it feels and eating it, how it starts to feel in your body. Once people do that sort of activity, it kind of sort of awaken awareness with other meals. I always have to sit there 100. The short answer is no. Listen to the intuitive eating diet. I always stop with a full one.
Restaurant, going like, someone stop talking.
Yeah, and with to say to people, there's a lot of people that live on the table. Now the kitchen bench, they're on your own in silence. It's kind of not what we were designed. Absolutely fine to have the tea. But the what my partner and I do, because we just usually got various other functions, and the TV's usually on while we're eating, talking to each other, and often and it's just like News 24, some escape to country or something. Whatever we're watching, I fully engage with. We wait until
it's amazing. So I mean, from general, I know it's probably very different around, and I guess the eating brain has been instilled. How long does it to a program of intuitive, being in a state of freedom? Does it know that I started on my and in that time, which to be honest with me, I can go so easily, but in my life, and it's just like of not being and obsessing about food and weight all the time. Goal, freedom behind that.
It's kind of a interesting question, but it's also good. So I would say the most common trajectory is within the first couple of months of really in thinking around food, and it's not unusual. So after the second session, the first thing I ask them is and the most common a sense of relief, good, like feel like there's hope. Very quickly, there's this such that relationship with food that can start to happen pretty quickly. So in the first 2 to 3 months, for a lot of people, 8 weeks in, image stuff. So people have to put the weight concern usually initially. They usually know it's everyone I work with is totally culture we live in. That's totally uncomfortable in your body. To do this work, you need to be able to actively pursue weight loss and you that or just thinking it doesn't work. I say to everybody, it's not actively pursue weight with that. If you can sit with that struggle, and a key part of my job is to help sort of the first couple of months, people, that sort of among the body voice quietens down, and then it's that sort of 6 to 8 weeks in dealing with the body image side of things, about changing your relationship to your body, recognizing that spits out the bad body thought on that. And then, so the type work, body image work, so really key. Lots of ups and downs. So that there's a few weeks, lots of work to do around body image, still really struggling with food. So there's lots. So most people, it seems to be there's this sort of roughly there things are only before a year, like turning the corner. My favorite, oh my God, I'm just not thinking about food. That can happen in the first few months.
What's if they themselves along a pathway of relationship with food, on to understand with food and they're eating serving them.
And I think actually most people, once it's pointed out, or what about it, what I mean by that question, I'm getting what that means. 6-7 years ago, I have to explain a bit more what we mean. I feel like in today's world about what that means, which is maybe the bigger and bigger, or people's relation hitting the peak of being that people recognize. And I guess some of those starting to think about food, just and all like like looking at the calories, finding yourself feeling anxious, what's in a food, getting mad at yourself for eating, but probably like just about food constantly. Only think about food when release of ghrelin, the hunger hormone, eat for dinner, why we're eating our dinner. But really, good 90% of the day, there should be no.
There's one aspect of dieting that I wanted to ask. Brianna and I have been really tired, Brianna, but when I'm really tired, carbs and sugar, we are feeling very healthy. We're fatigued, sluggish, distract from in the moderation movement.
So when a factor comes up, one of the first things, how much sleep are you getting? What's home life like? How many kids you got? Common question, the most common day, how are you feeling? Or busy. It's like
adulting being tired.
And diet may influence bigger factors at play than you're finding yourself craving, which we have a sugar craving now. It's differentiating between and again there are other types, but ease of explanation, eating. I just sort of see keto being all the rage. I often say, all these people were quote unquote addicted to sugar to eat more. It's not eating enough chemical that it's called neuropeptide, food-seeking chemicals. So it makes food look better, smell, carbohydrate-rich food, with as sugar, because sugar is a fuel source. Go into total famine and this, but for the most part, more accurately, carbohydrate is where glucose comes from. Carbohydrate or sugar to get that. If you are under eating a plate of vegetables, or you want something that's going to give you something that can convert, so it can keep off. Great cravings. So most of the carbohydrate cravings are actually just not eating enough. The number one day. And then they're not eating enough during the day. Might be eating enough but they're not. Body takes a while to make, so then you could be left feeling a bit.
Ever since I started one of my meals, I know that I said in the morning and I'm starting to feeling stagnant, not feeling quite cabin fit. I need something to. But yeah, it's amazing that balance sleep, time away from work and shine, and time for yourself is. I'm going to put this frustration.
Yeah. Carla, does that answered your question?
Yeah, I was just thinking, intuitive eating, tiredness, because we do different things. Like I eat at all, but when I don't like soft drinks, I don't know. It's just my brain sudden that drink that you normally pretty satiating. So yeah, just sort of general health fits in with that. Did answer my question, yes. Yeah,
psychological craving. So this, you can have a mouth craving, a taste, like it might be for whatever reason you just want it may be that you need. Eating does it gives you a switch and can kind of perk you up a little bit. But equally, Brianna was, if you just get up and went for a walk, get away from the task at hand, registration point, can just eating will do a similar thing. In your case, Caroline, if you're just thinking, and it tastes good and you enjoy it and it did meet your expectation, it gave you what, that's fine. Now, if you're finding it and so constantly drinking, the drinking of the Coca-Cola is the issue is you're constantly.
I can turn into tears. Oh, I mean, it's been up to your time to find eating, and where can they go?
Actually, the website, intuitive eating, non-diet resources.
And you have 5 businesses?
So I'm just looking at my website, search and resources. If people click on the book I mentioned before, there's really useful books to read, public and for practitioners, and lots of articles, kind of hardcore research, if there's any doctors, physicians, psychologists, dietitians, sort of general articles, perhaps general public or just anyone might. Some good stuff on there. Thanks to COVID, sarcastically, percent online, which will be, so the clinics are still on. I am having a new website. We're supposed to come out in April the 9th soon, but that will be just soon. Yeah, clients all over to new Zoom. I mean, partly but it's just so much more kind of people who were that it works just as well as we could all be in the same room.
Health is amazing.
It's it's just so much time people save. So yeah.
Oh, down into the
And I love what you eat website, but before, which so that's been mainly active on just get posted. So I've got both Love What You Eat, which was what we to when I run a personal training business. She's got this exact area, intuitive eating. I think it was 24. Pete Evans and his paleo diet rampant all over the internet. Alternative movement, so you don't have to do it. And then huge momentum very quickly. Quite a big following now. So yeah, I mean,
Definitely put the links in the bio and your Instagram. Thanks for sharing that with us. A pleasure to have. And our interviews by a holy trinity. Did Brianna share what that was with you? Share one brag and one desire that you have.
Okay. Does everyone?
Yes.
This is in relation to that. This is do it is because it's sometimes, and it's really good practice. Something definitely, and you don't sit back a lot of the time and just sort of that I have actually striving for something else. I just think it's a really good practice to just. I got up this morning. I want to.
Now that I was going to say something you've framed. I'm proud that I'm a really good day. I've not only started 17 years, and it's been do. I believe I'm good at what I do.
Yeah. The gratitude.
Just to have and health in terms of what I was fortunate to have free from. There's no such thing as a clean bill of health issues I have to manage, but generally good mental, emotional health, and sort of what I value in the meaning I get, and values and getting that meaning. Actually being in being to a social circumstance, those things, and then health which of environment. But don't let me go off on that. The last one, the
Desire.
I want to say travel. My desire to travel was pre-COVID. A lot of traveling when I was younger, which was amazing. I sort of absolute itch to go to Spain and just in culinary, cultural.
Love, eat, pray situation.
I'm aware of that, but actually, it's a book. I know. But yes, it's something like that. But yes, I much desire to do that. South America as well.
A journey with you. Take me with you.
I'll call you up.
We can eat.
Sounds
Yeah.
wonderful.
So extensive. There's so many news and different, but thank you so much. It's so conversation open for a lot of people. What is the 1 in 5 people don't actually
I tell you, so 1 in 5 people relationship with food.
Yeah.
Relationship with food.
Exactly. I mean, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye. That is definitely it's to home and movement, the learn how to eat. It's main things I know I have claimed my life and free the brain.
I have definitely weight up and down for as long as I can remember. I'm tired of worrying. Sometimes the weight falls off naturally. Sometimes I wrapped my perception of thinking, oh, I can eat whatever I weight, eating the exact same food. This isn't good for me. And fuck it. I've been given the body that I've been.
And it's a beautiful body.
And I've been given the balances that I've been given, and up and down, and sexy.
But no, Zoe Nicholson on just brain on these things. Wants to do a bit of telehealth, please. We'll put all the resources down of this episode
In the post when we release Instagram.
You feel like you're not quite sure about your, send us a story and share who we are. The more things and the more that we can actually.
We are a community, right? Please.
Thanks for listening to the Am I? We hope you guys are getting out of it, learning a trick or two about how to review and a 5-star rating. Follow our channel on whichever streaming helps us reach more people and
Up on Instagram at Am I. Remember to send us your holy trees with us at AmIAdult.com. Each week we'll share, and that could be you from you. Keep doing your thing.